Hmm. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to recite the long healing prayer. He is the healer, the sufficer, the helper, the all-forgiving, the all-merciful. I call on thee, O exalted one, O faithful one, O glorious one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O sovereign, O upraiser, O judge. Thou, the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou, abiding one. I call on thee, O peerless one, O eternal one, O single one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou, abiding one. I call on thee, O most praised one, O holy one, O helping one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou, abiding one. I call on thee, O omniscient, O most great. I call on thee, O omniscient, O most wise, O most great one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O clement one, O majestic one, O ordaining one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O beloved one, O cherished one, O enraptured one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on the O mightiest one, O sustaining one, O potent one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O ruling one, O self-subsisting, O all-knowing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O Spirit, O light, O most manifest one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou frequented by all, O thou known to all, O thou hidden from all, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O concealed one, O triumphant one, O bestowing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O Almighty, O succoring one, O concealing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee. O fashioner, O satisfier, O uprooter, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O rising one, O gathering one, O exalting one, Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O perfecting one, O unfettered one, O bountiful one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O beneficent one, O withholding one, O creating one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O most sublime one, O beauteous one, O bounteous one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O just one, O gracious one, O generous one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O all-compelling, O ever-abiding, O most knowing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O magnificent one, O ancient of days, O magnanimous one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O well-guarded one, O Lord of joy, O desired one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou kind to all, O thou compassionate with all, O most benevolent one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O haven for all, O shelter to all, O all-preserving one. Thou, the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou succorer of all, O thou invoked by all, O quickening one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O unfolder, O ravager, O most clement one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou, my soul, O thou my beloved, O thou my faith, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O quencher of thirsts, O transcendent Lord, O most precious one. Thou, the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O greatest remembrance, O noblest name, O most ancient way. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O most lauded, O most holy, O sanctified one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O unfastener, O counselor, O deliverer. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O friend, O physician, O captivating one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O glory, O beauty, O bountiful one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O the most trusted, O the best lover, O Lord of the dawn, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O enkindler, O brightener, O bringer of delight, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O Lord of bounty, O most compassionate, O most merciful one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O constant one, O life-giving one, O source of all being, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding. I call on thee, O thou who penetratest all things, O all-seeing God, O Lord of utterance, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O manifest, yet hidden, O unseen yet renowned, O onlooker, sought by all, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou who slayest the lovers, O God of grace to the wicked, O sufficer. I call on thee, O sufficer, O healer. I call on thee, O healer, O abider. I call on thee, O abider. Thou the ever abiding, O thou abiding one. Sanctified, I call on thee, O thou who slayest the lovers, O God of grace to the wicked. O Sufficer, I call on thee, O Sufficer. O Healer, I call on thee, O Healer. O Abider, I call on thee, O Abider. Thou the ever abiding, O thou abiding one. Sanctified art thou, O Lord my God. I beseech thee by thy generosity, whereby the portals of thy bounty and thy grace were opened wide, whereby the temple of thy holiness was established upon the throne of eternity. And by thy mercy, whereby thou didst invite all created things unto the table of thy bounties and thy bestowals. And by thy grace, whereby thou didst respond in thine own self with thy word, yea. On behalf of all in heaven and earth, at the hour when thy sovereignty and thy grandeur stood revealed, at the dawn time, when the might of thy dominion was made manifest. And again, and by thy mercy, whereby thou didst invite all created things unto the table of thy bounties and thy bestowals. And by thy grace, whereby thou didst respond in thine own self with thy word, yea. On behalf of all in heaven and earth, at the hour when thy sovereignty and thy grandeur stood revealed, at the dawn time when the might of thy dominion was made manifest. And again do I beseech thee by these most beauteous names, and by thy most noble and sublime attributes, and by thy most exalted remembrance, and by thy pure and spotless beauty, and by thy hidden light in the most hidden pavilion. And by thy name, cloaked with the garment of affliction, every morn and eve, to protect the bearer of this blessed tablet, and whoso reciteth it, and whoso cometh upon it, and whoso passeth around the house wherein it is. Heal thou then by it every sick, diseased, and poor one, from every tribulation and distress, from every loathsome affliction and sorrow. And guide thou by it whosoever desireth to enter upon the paths of thy guidance and the ways of thy forgiveness and grace. Thou art verily the powerful, the all-sufficing, the healing, the protector, the giving, the compassionate, the all-generous, the all-merciful. I see that my Facebook picture is a little bit dark. Maybe that'll be better. This is from the Hidden Words of Bahá'u'lláh. It's the Persian, number 52. O children of negligence and passion, ye have suffered my enemy to enter my house, and have cast out my friend, for ye have enshrined the love of an other than me in your hearts. Give ear to the sayings of the friend, and turn towards his paradise. Worldly friends, seeking their own good, appear to love one another, whereas the true friend hath loved and doth love you for your own sakes. Indeed, he hath suffered for your guidance countless afflictions. Be not disloyal to such a friend. Nay, rather hasten unto him, Such is the day star of the word of truth and faithfulness that hath dawned above the horizon of the pen of the Lord of all names. Open your ears, that ye may hearken unto the word of God, the help in peril, the self-existent. Here's number 53. O ye that pride yourselves on mortal riches, know ye in truth that wealth is a mighty barrier between the seeker and his desire, the lover and his beloved. The rich, but for a few, shall in no wise attain the court of his presence, nor enter the city of content and resignation. Well is it then with him who, being rich, is not hindered by his riches from the eternal kingdom, nor deprived by them of imperishable dominion, by the most great name. The splendor of such a wealthy man shall illuminate the dwellers of heaven, even as the sun enlightens the people of the earth. Number 54 from the Persian. O ye rich ones on earth, the poor in your midst are my trust. Guard ye my trust, and be not intent only on your own ease. O son of passion, cleanse thyself from the defilement of riches, and in perfect peace advance into the realm of poverty, that from the wellspring of detachment thou mayest quaff the wine of immortal life. I'm not sure how to adjust the Facebook transmission so that the light will come on my face. That's a metaphor, isn't it? Okay, I'll just do my best. It's tough. Reading Baha'u'llah's Tablet of the Temple, or Suriy-i-Haykal, in which he addresses a number of world rulers during the 1860s. This tablet is the first in the Summons of the Lord of Hosts, which is a compilation of tablets by Baha'u'lláh. And right now he is addressing Nasir-ed-Din Shah, the king of Persia, during the time of Baha'u'llah's incarceration in Adrianople, which was his third banishment. And this paragraph is from that letter to Nasir-ed-Din Shah. And amongst the people are those who claim that he, that would be Baha'u'lláh, hath disbelieved in God. Yet every member of my body testifieth that there is none other God but him. that those whom he hath raised up in truth and sent forth with his guidance are the manifestations of his most excellent names, the revealers of his most exalted attributes, and the repositories of his revelation in the kingdom of creation. That through them the proof of God hath been perfected unto all else but him. The standard of divine unity hath been raised, and the sign of sanctity hath been made manifest, and that through them every soul hath found a path unto the Lord of the throne on high. I want to just say something about this here, where he mentions the standard of divine unity having been raised. So what he means by divine unity is that all the manifestations of God that have been sent from age to age are one. Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, the Bab, Baha'u'lláh, Krishna, Buddha, Zoroaster, Abraham, and all of the divine messengers that have come to the indigenous peoples from age to age. Many, 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 many of whom we have lost the knowledge of. That they're all one. That they're all coming from God in order to educate humanity. And that it is not permissible to make distinctions between them and say this one is greater than that one. That is what Baha'u'lláh calls divine unity, the divine unity. We testify that there is none other God but him, that from everlasting he was alone, with none else besides him, and that he shall be unto everlasting what he hath ever been. Too high is the all-merciful for the hearts of those who have recognized him, to apprehend his true nature, or for the minds of men to hope to fathom his existence. He verily is exalted above the understanding of anyone besides himself, and sanctified beyond the comprehension of all else save him. From all eternity he hath been independent of the entire creation. So, that ends my transmission for today. And as usual, my prayer for you, and for myself, of course, is that we overcome our selfish selves, that we give lovingly and joyfully to each other, that we exercise patience, compassion, forgiveness, that we overlook the faults of others, that we remember that we're all one family, and treat each other with the greatest tenderness, respect, and love, so as to bring about the fulfillment of the kingdom of God on earth, the bricks of which are the teachings which have been brought by Baha'u'lláh. I wish you a blessed good day.